Welcome into another episode of Rip N Riff here on the Rip N Riff YouTube channel. Also can find this on X and Facebook. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. The man to my right over there at Mr. Jared Moore on Twitter/X, or you could just call him Jared in real life. There he is with the sweet Yankee hat again. Jared, how are we doing this week?
What's good, buddy?
We've got a lot to get into today. Went to Yankees-A's game over the weekend. It'll be part of my Rip and Rant. We'll get to that shortly. Some good packs to rip today. Week 3 of the NFL season in the books. Looking, or looking ahead here. It's gonna be fun here.
Yeah, they say this feels like a very Mike Francis-esque thing to say. But yeah, before you know it, it's week 4 already, and next thing you know, you look up and it'll be Thanksgiving. It's just crazy how the calendar works. How time works.
It's like Halloween's not that far away, and then like you said, Thanksgiving is just right there, and then all of a sudden we're talking about teams in the playoff hunt versus not. But yeah, should be fun to do that a little later. We got some football cards coming to you. We'll get to the pack ripping lineup in a minute. Also some tennis cards. Chock full show for you today. Starting lineup, figure 5 is going to come from the world of football. But we both are chomping at the bit here to get to Rip and Rant and get some pack ripping here. So without further ado, let's show what we're ripping today. And it's going to be mostly football here, like I mentioned a little while ago. I got some Topps 2006 football. Later on, kudos to at Ant Rivera 86, one of my line mates on Total Hockey Now, for sending me a link to Topps Chrome Tennis, and I was very intrigued. So I bought a hobby box. So we'll crack open a four packs of that as well. So,
yeah, I'm very curious to see what you get in the tennis packs. My guess is it'll probably be a whole bunch of women from Russia and Belarus that you won't be able to pronounce their names, but I mean, they are professional tennis players on, the WTA or the ATP. I forget which tours for the women. So,
I think they're
that'll be cool to open.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And if we have a good time, maybe we'll bring it back. I got a few packs to go. Now, what are you ripping today? We got a couple of football packs there for you.
Yeah, we're doing football. I got a pack of 2021 Panini Prizms and a pack of a couple packs of the 2020 Panini Absolute football packs. So this is about as close to modern NFL as I have, because I haven't bought like any 23 or 24 Prizm packs yet. So hopefully we get some players in here that we can talk about how their early 2024 season is going. I mean, we got Trevor Lawrence on the cover of the one pack, and things are not going so hot for Trevor Lawrence off of that Monday Night Football game. Looks very average, which is not what you want from a quote-unquote generational can't-miss quarterback.
Do we see Mac Jones this season?
I mean, we just saw Mac Jones the other night, didn't we?
But I mean, is he going to be the starter? Like, do we see him as the starter?
Oh, no. Okay. They won't bench him for Mac Jones just because they gave him that contract and they're paying him a ton of money. But, I mean, this might cost Doug Peterson his job.
And then another rookie that we're chasing in those packs today, Joe Burrow. Things not going great in Cincinnati right now either. That's another team where it's like, what's going on here, folks?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not bad that, it's burning Jared's throat. The carbonation is just getting to you, man. I mean, Cincinnati is definitely worse than that, but that's up there.
Yeah, I'm choking worse than the Dallas Cowboys did the last couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and Thursday Night Football. I mean, if the Giants beat the Cowboys, I can't wait if that happens. Probably not, but
they're not beating the Cowboys.
I know. But
the Cowboys beat them by like a combined score of like 78-10 last year or whatever it was. Like, I'm sitting there in the poker room during week 1 of last year, and whatever that game was, 40-0, or just that horrendous blowout week 1 at MetLife Stadium. So I'll believe the Giants beat the Cowboys, this iteration of the Cowboys, when I actually see it happen.
It would be fun if that happened. But we're talking a little NFL now. We're going to get back to football a little bit later, but it's time for one of our favorite segments. It's time to kick things off on Rip and Riff with
my Rip and Rant.
Thanks, Dave. Now, before we get to our actual rants, we do want to point out that there was, I forget the Kansas State fan on Twitter. He's got Bill Snyder in his handle. I can't recall at the moment, but another one of these bets that nobody has
actually Bill Snyder.
Can you imagine if it was like, that's a movie? Like, that sounds like a scene out of Old School, like the old guy in like the KY Jelly wrestling. It's like akin to that. So what we talked about a bet where somebody said they would eat dog poop if somebody beat somebody, and then he welched on the bet, and it's like, well, nobody told you to make that bet. Well, a big K-State fan said if they had lost to BYU, he would take a Taco Bell 5-layer beefy burrito and put it in a place in his body where it would normally exit from, and BYU thrashes them. I mean, and I don't know why. Like, K-State was going on the road. You're at elevation. It's like it's a Saturday night at BYU. What else do Mormons have to do besides get rowdy for football? Like, that's the one you pick. Like, oh, if they lose to them, I'm going to do. Well, you know what? I hope you're smart enough to at least leave it in the wrapper because that gives you a better chance. So we're going to give you. It does, because otherwise, I mean, then it's we're not going to get into the physics of it. But nonetheless, we are here to keep receipts for people who make stupid bets like that nobody told you to make. Nobody had to do that. You know, our friend Howard Bender, he makes pie bets. So if he loses, he gets a pie thrown in his face. Oh, well. But you know what? He takes a towel, he wipes it off, he rinses it off, he's good to go again. He's not having to eat things that he shouldn't have to eat. He's not having to insert things into holes that aren't meant for it. Teach their own. But yeah, come on, guys. Like, let's do better. And if you're gonna make those bets, at least honor them.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my follow-up question, because I haven't been paying close attention to this story. Have you been? Did he honor the bet, or did he welch on it?
You know, I don't know if he has yet. I don't know if Taco Bell wants that kind of publicity either for this kind of thing. You know, they say there's no such thing as bad publicity. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is one they want to avoid, especially with, as you pointed out, they raised their prices recently. So it's like you're losing your appeal there.
Yeah, Taco Bell used to be the king of cheap fast food, and not so much anymore with how much they've raised their prices. Look, this is going to be the show of record when it comes to holding people accountable for making stupid bets like this. So, I don't see Mad Dog Unleashed. You know, I don't see Jim Rome holding people to the fire and taking them to task for this. But you know what? You and I will, my friend.
That's exactly what we're here for. You know what? Somebody's got to step up. You know, next man up mentality. That's what we're doing here. Those guys don't have time to get to it. We do. Now, you wanted to kick things off, I believe, with CJ Abrams Rip and Rant.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the CJ Abrams story from this past week, CJ Abrams, young promising player for the Washington Nationals, kind of had I think he made the All-Star team this year, kind of had a down second half. And look, the Nationals are a team that's going nowhere. They're playing out the string. I would imagine if you're a baseball player who's been in the league for a couple of years now, like a CJ Abrams has, and you're playing out the string of another losing season, you're like, God, I just want the season to end and get it over with. So they're on a road trip. They're in Chicago. They're playing the Cubs. And CJ Abrams decides to pull an all-nighter at the casino in Chicago before reporting for what I assume was a day game in Chicago, because they usually play Friday afternoon home games during the day. Missed curfew, showed up to the ballpark, had a lengthy conversation with Davey Martinez, the manager, and was ultimately optioned to AAA to finish out the season. So look, we're all young, we're all stupid, we've all been there before. Who amongst us has not pulled an all-nighter at the casino only to have to be at work a couple hours later? And like, you see that shot of CJ Abrams sitting by himself at the craps table, like that's just sad and pathetic enough as it is. You know, that you're at the casino by yourself, you're sitting at the craps table by yourself, just playing $100 $100 games of craps, or whatever they call it. I'm actually not a craps aficionado. It's one of those games I want to learn how to play, but I haven't actually done it. So
you're a poker guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a poker guy, but like, case in point, like, I'm 41 and tomorrow I'm driving up to the casino and I'm going to be playing poker and playing till God knows what hour in the morning, only to have to, be back, on the grind a couple hours later. So CJ, we salute you, our king. You've done nothing that the rest of us haven't done, and you were being unfairly maligned by the Washington Nationals organization by being held accountable for missing curfew and being late for a game that nobody cares about late in a lost season.
I'm going to jump in on the defending side here because he's 23 years old. And at 23 years old, you feel like you can do everything and anything. And you know what? Sometimes you bite off more than you can chew and you learn the hard way. And he learned the hard way, and that's fine. We all make mistakes at 23. We all feel like we can stay out all night and then go to listen. He slept through the alarm clock. It wasn't the best decision. We all been there. He's 23. And besides, what else is he doing for the Nationals this year? Come on now.
Do you really need CJ Abrams there to go 0 for 3?
I don't. He probably goes 0 for more at the table if he's still there at like 8 in the morning. But hey, yeah, I got no problem with it. It's not a good look, but it's not like they're in the pennant chase. It's not like it's early in the season. We all have those days where we're just trying to get to 5 o'clock.
Right. It's the end of a long season where they're not going anywhere. He's just trying to get to the off season. Let the kid have a little fun and unwind.
We're going to keep it in the world of baseball before we get to some football packs from my Rip and Rant. And, as you can see, I'm wearing a MLB Jam shirt with Matt Olson and Matt Chapman on it. Two guys who have not played for the Oakland A's since 2021. You know where I was able to buy this shirt this week? At the A's game on Sunday when they were playing the Yankees. Because... So I go every year when the Yankees come to town. I am a Yankee fan, but I do since moving here. Like I like going to A's games. It's cheap. It's an easier in and out for where I live versus going down to where the Giants play in Oracle Park. So went to the Giants game. I went to the Yankees A's game on Sunday, and even on Friday night when I was at the Green Day Smashing Pumpkins concert at Oracle Park. Like it was kind of cool and kind of sad that you could look across the bay and see the floodlights from Oakland from the Yankees A's game on Friday night. And like, well, that's not going to be around too much longer. Go to the game on Sunday. Well, I like to buy pins as souvenirs, lapel pins, whatever, it's a cool little collector's item. Go to the stand. The guy, I'm like, can I get a last season pin? He's like, yes, but you have to spend $30 to get one. I'm like, I can't just buy the pin for 10, 12 bucks, whatever you want to charge. He's like, no. And he kind of pulls me over and he's like, this is what Fisher wants. This is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm like, it's easy to spend $30 at a souvenir stand. Give me that yellow A's t-shirt and an extra large. Sorry, all I have is small and 3XL. And he's like, well, they're not letting us really replenish supplies either. They want it to last for the entire week through the Texas series. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then you go to the team store and you can buy, I could have bought a Chris Davis jersey if I wanted it. The man is treating this, John Fisher is treating this like a liquidation sale. I understand he is the reason they're leaving and all that. And it would come off as phony baloney to like try and turn the last week into a celebration. But there are a lot of fans going to these games. I have a friend and her boyfriend that are going for the last night game tonight and the day game tomorrow, the last game there ever. There are a lot of A's fans. And for you to just kind of treat them on the way out the door like a Spirit Halloween that's closing on November 10th for the year and won't be back till September. Like, come on now. This is like, it's 57 years of being here, and probably for the last 20 years you've done nothing for the team. Can you just do something right for them on the way out the door? Can you do one thing? Can you dip into your pockets, you loser? You're probably the owner that when you take a lunch break at the owners meetings, nobody wants to be near you in the buffet line. You're the guy sitting at the table by yourself. You're the guy that when you try to sit at a table, they goes, oh, quick, Fisher's coming over, quick, change your convo. Like, you're the loser that nobody wants to be associated with. You're the reason why the A's are leaving. The thing we always say in sports, when you're unhappy with the team's direction, what should you do? Don't go to the games. Show them that you're not going to give them your money. That's exactly what the A's fans did after having to play in that dilapidated stadium. It's been dilapidated for over 20 years, and they didn't go. And you know what the owner did? He used that as an excuse. Well, nobody comes anymore, so I'm leaving. So that's what happens. He doesn't invest in the team. The fans say, F this. We're not going to come anymore. We're going to tell you with our money that we're not happy with this. And then they turn around and use it as an excuse to leave. So, you know what, Fisher? Fuck off.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's like, a lot of times, when teams leave, is it the city? Is it the ownership? This is all the team. The Raiders were destined to leave because they're the Raiders. The Warriors, once they opened the Chase Center in San Francisco, there was no chance they were staying in the East Bay. But this one could have been an easy one. I mean, the Giants didn't help because they kind of blocked them from building a stadium anywhere but the East Bay. That didn't help. But like this one didn't have to happen this way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to add other than that. Other than it's kind of sad, especially like I went to the supermarket the other day, one of the ones that's near me, and I didn't realize that they were actually going to be closing this store. So like I'm walking through the aisles and I'm like, oh, this place looks like it's like on its last legs, like they're going to close last week. And you're just kind of walking through it, and you know the shelves are half empty. The aisles are, you know, there's nobody there aside from like 2 employees in the front, like just making sure nobody steals anything. And it's just like that sad, like pathetic feeling that like, all right, this place isn't really going to be around anymore. And I'm sure there's, you know, like you said, like it could have been a celebration of, you know, 55 years of the A's being in Oakland, even as disingenuous as it is. It's not like the A's have zero history in Oakland. They have a lot of history in Oakland. And instead, it just feels like, yeah, we're just playing out the string. And then we're going to pack the last couple of things in the U-Haul and head on up to Sacramento.
And the thing is, like, the fans are showing up. Like, when I was at the game on Sunday, that could have been a Sunday afternoon ball game in any stadium. Like, the fans are cheering, the fans were in. It was a good game too. And you know, it's sad. There's no, anytime a sports team leaves, it's sad, and I get it, but yeah, this one didn't have to happen this way. And kudos to, well, hopefully the A's do better in Sacramento and eventually Vegas if that's what happens. But apparently there's already problems with the stadium in Vegas and Fisher. So it's like, can't even have that go right.
Yeah, the entire thing's a mess.
It's a disaster. But without further ado, we're here to rip packs. Jared, why don't you kick us off? Let's go reverse chronologically here. Why don't we start with those 2021 Panini Prizms?
Yeah, we'll get right to it. We'll get to that. And if you don't mind pulling up the East Coast cam, that would be much appreciated as we get this pack open. And we're almost there.
Let's get back in a better mood here off of that.
Yeah.
The shirt was only $25 and it was 50% off from like $45.
Yep. So we are going to start with one of the defensive mainstays of your New York Jets, Quinnen Williams, who's having a great start to the season. The Jets are 2-1. They're heading into a big game this weekend against the Broncos. I know it was a big thing last year with the Jets with Nathaniel Hackett, and that was a bit of a revenge game for the Jets, trying to win one for Nate. And I would imagine there'll be a lot of similar sentiments this time around.
One of my Quinnen Williams, the anchor of that defense, his brother Quincy, a hell of a linebacker over the last couple of years. He's really played well for them. And yeah, when they beat the Patriots this week, because of the way the schedule opened for them, Monday Night Football in San Francisco, then back on the road to Nashville, then short week at home, like just get the win. I didn't care if it was 19-13. And what they did against New England, they need to do that again against Denver with a week and a half off. Then I'm like, all right, the Jets are for real.
Yep. Is that game at MetLife or is that in Denver?
That's a home game at MetLife.
Yep. So we'll see if they can take care of business there. We go right from him to one of the best pass rushers of this era, Danielle Hunter, longtime Minnesota Viking. Now he's with the Houston Texans. And Houston looks like one of the best teams in all of the NFL right now.
We could talk about Houston, but let's talk about the team, his former team, the Vikings. 3-0. I mean, this is a team everybody wrote off like, all right, they're going to be in the mix for a top 3 pick. Even if they were going to go with McCarthy, there weren't high expectations. But like, Sam Darnold's got that offense playing just fine, and they got a strong defense.
Sam Darnold is looking to be the latest in what is becoming a line of jet bust quarterbacks to have career resurgences elsewhere. First, you have Geno Smith in Seattle, and now you have Sam Darnold in Minnesota. If Zach Wilson can turn things around wherever, let's get Zach Wilson with Sean McVay and see if he can salvage him.
It is a lesson in patience, though, because a lot of us wrote off Geno Smith after the Jets, and it took a couple of years for him to get his chance, and he took full advantage of it, and now he's the guy in Seattle. So patience, Zach. You never know. It could be Denver, it could be somewhere else.
We go from them to another defensive player. A lot of defensive players in this pack. Tremaine Edmonds, now he's with the Chicago Bears. They're pictured with the Bills.
Another team that's, been a little bit of a bumpy start. I mean, people are already like, saying like, oh, Justin Fields was better, blah, blah. It's like, dude, 3 games. He said 3 games. Let's take it easy.
We can pump the brakes a little bit on the Caleb Williams hype train. It has not been that great through 3 games. Like right now, Jaden Daniels looks better. Right now, you go back to last year's class, CJ Stroud looked better than Bryce Young, who's now since been benched, and now Andy Dalton comes in, and all of a sudden the Carolina Panthers look like a competent NFL team on offense. So,
I mean, we talked in the offseason. I was not somebody that was on the Caleb Williams hype train. I was like, easy. But now I'm on the hold up easy on the coming from the other direction where people are ready to be like, this guy's a bust. And it's like, listen, you put all these expectations on him. If he didn't live up to him after 3 games, that's not his fault. Granted, he needs to play better, but it's 3 games. Let's give the guy half a season before we're like, oh, this guy's a bust.
Yep. And last but not least, rookie card emergent Najee Harris rookie card there.
Steelers running the ball a lot early in the season.
And Steelers are another team that's 3-0. And I mean, well, what can you say about Mike Tomlin, man? Like that, those teams always find a way to win their, go above 500. He's never had a losing season. He's not going to have a losing season this year either. I mean, they're 33% of the way there. They got to get to 9-8 to have a winning season, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. And since you mentioned Justin Fields, I don't really see any reason why they should go to Russell Wilson when Justin Fields is doing just fine right now.
Until Justin Fields, until they lose, you can't take him out. 2, until he has a really bad game where it's like, okay, he made mistakes that he can't be making at this point, and maybe he's grown out of that. You got to roll with Justin Fields at this point.
All right, we'll move on to the Absolute football packs. I got 2 of them here. There's 5 cards per pack, so yeah, I mean, none of these packs are going to take a whole lot of time to go through. We start with newly retired Teddy Bridgewater here with the Carolina Panthers. Salute to Teddy Bridgewater. Good career. Obviously suffered a horrific injury and managed to bounce back and be a long-time NFL backup quarterback since then. Now he's coaching high school football. So credit to Teddy.
We talked about how there's a severe lack of quality backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Teddy Bridgewater was a heck of a backup quarterback. That's exactly what you want, because he was a guy that if he had to come in randomly on an injury, they didn't miss a beat. He wasn't a starter after that injury, but he was a very, very good backup.
And he's not old. I mean, if someone called with the right opportunity, he's probably content doing what he's doing, but Teddy Bridgewater could still be in the league right now if he wanted to.
And that's how you know he just loves the game of football, because what did he do when he couldn't play anymore? He went right to coaching in high school. And good for you. That's awesome.
Yep. And, another guy, former starter, now he's going to be hanging on doing the career backup thing. Carson Wentz. Now he's the backup in Kansas City to Patrick Mahomes. And I think Carson Wentz is another one of those guys where, it didn't work with him being a starter, but he's got a lot of experience as a starter. He's been around the league now. He's older. He's matured a bit. And he's a guy where, if you put the ego aside, you're willing to hold the clipboard. He could very easily be a backup quarterback for another decade in this league.
He could be the next Joe Flacco.
I was going to say he could be the next Chase Daniel, but yeah.
Maybe I set the bar a little too high for him.
Maybe a little bit. Let's see. Todd Gurley here with the that one season he spent with the Atlanta Falcons. Really a shame that the knee injuries just kind of shortened his career, because Todd Gurley was one of the most exciting fantasy football players of his era.
Yeah, shout out Tom Kress, by the way. Former Georgia running back.
And we close this pack with a couple of rookies. Here they are at the Combine, or what we call the Underwear Olympics. Willie Gay, linebacker with the Chiefs. I'm not sure if he's still with the Chiefs. I feel like he signed somewhere else this past offseason. And Isaiah Simmons, who's now with the New York Giants, doing a whole lot of nothing.
Willie Gay with the Saints this year, who had they beaten the Eagles, would also be in the undefeated club, but Eagles rally late to win that one.
Yeah, that was a rough loss for the Saints. That was one where you kind of pump the brakes in the Clint Kubiak hype train in terms of revitalizing that Saints offense, because I feel like Philly really dominated that game, even though they didn't score a whole lot of points in that one. So
when you look at the teams that the Saints put up points against the first couple of weeks, and then it's like, okay, now they played a real defense, and that's what happened.
Yep. All right, so we'll move on to our last pack real quick. And We start this one with future Hall of Famer here, the great Aaron Donald.
And I love those Rams yellow head to toe look there. That maybe that's from that Monday night game against the Chiefs. That was, I think, in Mexico City or something like that, where it was like 54-51. That might have been from that game.
Yep. Longtime linebacker Bobby Wagner. I think Bobby Wagner's still hanging on somewhere.
He is. I want to say Washington is where he landed because of the Commanders, because he's got the connection there with Dan Quinn.
Yep. Another player who landed in Washington, Austin Eckler.
Got hurt this week. Didn't get an update on him, but I did see him leave the field.
Yeah. Washington's going to be a good team, though. Jaden Daniels is the real deal. Certainly saw very promising things on that Monday night win over the Cincinnati Bengals. And I mean, I hate to say it as a Giants fan because they're in the division, but they're going to be a force to be reckoned with once they start actually putting some more pieces on the roster around them. But it was nice to see the resurgence of Terry McLaurin. The demise of Terry McLaurin has been greatly exaggerated. And I mean, it's good for the Commanders that
I'm ready to say they're second best team in the NFC East right now, the way Dallas is playing.
I don't think that's a stretch. I don't think that's crazy to say that. And we close this with a couple rookies. DeAndre Swift, who's kind of not really doing a whole lot of anything right now with the Chicago Bears. And Michael Pittman Jr., stalwart of my dynasty teams, but he has been a little bit banged up in the early portion of the season. And Anthony Richardson doesn't seem to like throwing to him, which is a concern.
Going back to DeAndre Swift for a second, that Bears backfield, I mean, granted, there's a lot of problems right now with the offense, so it's tough to really zero in until you can get one figured out. But there are some fans calling for Khalil Herbert. Where's Roshan Johnson in this whole mix? So it's I thought DeAndre Swift, I didn't think he'd have a huge year in Chicago, but I thought he'd have an adequate year. But it's still early, new offense. See what happens.
Yeah, it's been a rough start to the year for the Bears, and and going back to the Colts for a second, where are you on Anthony Richardson? Because I've not been overly impressed with what I've seen the first couple weeks of the season.
I thought he was a little overhyped the way people, coming out of college. Like, he was one of those guys that kind of rose on the draft boards, in the months and weeks leading up to the draft. I'm a, go out and prove it kind of guy. And, I know he was hurt last year, so it's essentially he's kind of like having his rookie year right now. So I think there needs to be a little patience on his evaluation. But when I saw him around the top 10 of, fantasy quarterbacks coming into this year, I was like, why? What has he shown? I mean, yes, he's got Jonathan Taylor behind him, and he's got Michael Pittman, throw the ball to, and, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce. They drafted Mitchell out of Texas. So I don't know. I mean, to me, the jury's still out, but it's not looking good.
It's not looking good. I mean, there's still some time, but it's not looking good early.
And the Colts too. DeForest Buckner missed it last week, so I mean, and Julian Blackmon was out for a couple of games. So I mean, they're a good defensive team, and if the defense is having problems, that's not going to make anything easier on as what's essentially a rookie quarterback in his second year officially. In terms of getting the offense going. But, see what happens here with the Colts. It's still early in the season. And I almost consider, because of that last, preseason dropping the 3 weeks, to me, I don't even really start getting too involved in okay, let's really look at these teams to week 2. Because I feel like week 1 is still a little bit of a rust getting off,
Do you mind if I take the show off the rails for a bit for a completely unrelated tangent?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm just scrolling Twitter as you were talking there. Sheldon Keefe, the head coach of the Devils, did not know it was illegal to pump your own gas in New Jersey.
A lot of people don't know that. And it's some people well, why? And even I used to do the Jersey when it existed back when I lived east. I would do the cheap Jersey gas trick where if I was going back to New York, I'd get gas right before I left the state coming back. But yeah, even when you drove through this, when I would I would have to make a mental stop. Nope, don't get out of the car. Just roll the window down. Yeah.
So, and here's the quote from him. You know what? I haven't gotten gas in Jersey since moving. Not once. Is that a thing? I don't have my own car. I've been renting cars. So, must be nice to have that kind of money where you're just renting cars. Yeah. You don't actually have a car here in Jersey.
And we know for sure that he's buying the tank ahead of time and returning it empty because he hasn't had to return it full, clearly. So if he hasn't had to get gas yet, he's prepaying. So we know some of his rental car preferences now.
So yeah, that was a tangent that I felt was worthwhile.
No, I feel like, yeah. I mean, listen, the Devils can be one of the feel-good stories in the NHL this year. You know, Keefe is gonna love coaching just because he's not in that Toronto fishbowl anymore. Devils have made the upgrades we've talked about on this show a couple of times. There's a lot of reasons to be positive and to think the Devils can really have a very good season this year.
All right, enough of the Devils. Let's get into some 2006 cards. I'm excited to see what you have in that pack.
Of course, this is the Vince Young, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart. You can see some of those guys on the pack right there. These are 12 card packs. Let's get that West Coast Rip Cam up on the screen. There we go. So we open up the pack with, just one of the all-time great guys and players in football history. Larry Fitzgerald, pictured in a Pro Bowl outfit there.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, first ballot Hall of Famer once he is eligible, and deservedly so. One of the all-time greats.
And his dad, one of the all-time great football journalists up there in Minnesota.
Yes.
Next up, we've got Nick Barnett with the Packers. I like the look of these cards with the color borders a little bit. Good action shot. It's nice.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. I like the design of those cards.
Let's see here. We got Dunta Robinson, former defensive back with the Texans there. We talk about guys who are actually pretty good backup quarterbacks when they got their chance, and there was a guy you were always okay with coming into the game. Aaron Brooks.
Yeah, Aaron Brooks had a few years there as a starter with the Saints, and before he kind of settled into that career backup role. And Aaron Brooks was a force to be reckoned with. I remember when Hurricane Katrina hit and the Saints had to play that Monday night game, that home game at MetLife Stadium.
That's right.
At Giants Stadium.
Eric Fenton went to that game. Why I remember that, I don't know.
I went to that game as well, just because it was an opportunity to go to a game, and I don't remember who won the game. I think the Giants won the game, but Aaron Brooks played well in that game.
Yeah, Aaron Brooks was solid off the bench. He was mobile. He could throw the ball. He was a threat. That was for sure. We've got Keenan McCardell, pictured with the Chargers there and their old look before going on to Jacksonville and having a good career there. Let's see here. Fantasy stud, one of the all-time fantasy greats of the era, Priest Holmes.
Yeah, Priest Holmes, one of the all-time greats there. I'm sorry, I'm looking up that Monday night game.
All right, now let me throw this food for thought out there for a minute. Can you imagine taking the current Chiefs offense and then plugging peak Priest Holmes behind Patrick Mahomes? Can't stop that.
Nope, you cannot stop that. All right, I got the box score here. Yeah, Giants won that game 27-10, and Aaron Brooks, 27 for 45, 375. He didn't play as well as I thought because he threw 3 picks, but he did have a touchdown pass.
Now, I wonder if OCU Manura played in that game. That's a nice OCU Manura card right there coming on the screen.
OCU Manura had 2 of those sacks on Aaron Brooks there.
Maybe later on for my pulls of the day, I'm just going to recreate the sack with the 2 cards of OCU Manura and Aaron Brooks later.
And by the way, thank goodness the Giants didn't trade OCU Manura when they had to trade up to get the Eli Manning, because that was one of the players the Chargers really wanted in that trade up, and the Giants said no. And it's a good thing they said no, because he was a key member of their championship teams.
Absolutely, coming on the pass rush, he held he maintained his ends pretty well. Another fantasy stud running back, at least for a few years, Amon Green.
Yeah, Amon Green, long-time Packers running back. And how many cards in this pack?
These are 12 card packs, and we got one more to go here after this one. So these are good packs here. Now we'll keep the all-pro running backs going there. We got Sean Alexander.
Yeah, Sean Alexander, former MVP. I told the story on the show before about how I took him first overall the year LaDainian Tomlinson had like 27 touchdowns. So, it's tough to blame me with coming off the year that Sean Alexander had the year prior, but not my finest fantasy moment.
That's why I don't like having the top overall pick. I don't, especially in hockey, all right, you're taking Connor McDavid, no questions asked. But there are sports, but the top overall pick could go a lot of ways. I don't want the top overall pick in football. Put me somewhere in the middle or the end of the first round.
Yeah, I can't stand having it in football. I mean, we talked about this on the show too, like the year in the dynasty draft where I had the number one overall pick, and that was the Clyde Edwards-Helaire year.
It is tough to draft fantasy or to draft dynasty running backs because I mean, yeah, you just never know, or like you outthink yourself or whatever. It's not things never pan out the way you want them to. A couple more cards to go in this pack. We got Jason Allen there with the Miami Dolphins. Going to be a rough season for them without Tua. A couple of rookies to close the pack here. First one, Brian Calhoun, former Lions running back, an all-time great defensive tackle or nose tackle, I would say. Haloti Ngata.
Yeah, we pulled Haloti on the show a few weeks ago, and we feel like he's the guy who's probably going to get the call for Canton at some point.
And he should. He was just a stalwart in the middle of those strong Ravens defenses throughout the 2010s.
By the way, I think he might be a first-time Pro Football Hall of Fame eligible because I saw the list the other day. I think he was on it.
All right, let's. We get this. I'm just peeking at this pack. This is a good mix. This pack. We'll have some good ones to talk about here. Let's start off with a guy who is. We talk about defensive stalwarts for a long time. Zach Thomas in the middle of that Dolphins defense for many years. Always a pain in the ass against the Jets.
Yeah, Zach is certainly a pain in the neck player to play against. So, yeah, Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas just recently got into the Pro Football Hall of Fame a couple years ago. So, yes. And well deserved.
Well deserved indeed. Now, a guy we've talked about Hall of Fame status a few times on this show, and just sporting a classic Eli Manning look in that photo there. You can.
I mean, God, how can you not love Eli? I mean, he's always got that goofy look on his face, but I mean, Eli was a stone cold killer, man. And like, I know people are like, he wasn't the best quarterback of his era. He never won an MVP. Those 2 Super Bowl wins over the Patriots are going to be what gets him into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot, and it's going to piss so many people off when it happens.
Yeah, and I'm here for it, and I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. The look on his face there is him realizing in the middle of a play, did I leave the stove on? Oh no! All right, you talk about this is a good mix of pack guys here. Roddy White, picture with the Falcons there, was a very, very good wide receiver there for a few years.
Excellent receiver for a long time.
Just an anchor of that Falcons offense. Let's go to Darren Sproles here, pictured with the Chargers. Definitely running by Sean Ellis in the background there of the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, Darren Sproles, one of the all-time great little guys in the NFL.
We've talked about that before. Sproles was shifty. He had the career with the Chargers, and then went to the Saints and the Eagles as well, I believe, during his career.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We've got Randy McMichael, tight end there with the Dolphins. We'll go 2 tight ends in a row here. We got Heath Miller with the Steelers there, kind of like a Pat Fryermuth from 15 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, and look, I'm not a Steelers fan. I always thought it was a little obnoxious whenever they would throw to Heath Miller, and you hear their Steeler fans just go Heath, but. I mean, he was certainly a fan favorite for many years there. I know he dealt with a lot of concussions, and that probably shortened his career, but, really good player in his day.
I'm a big fan of the stadium, like chanting a guy's name after a catch like that, like a he or something like that. Any player that's got a ooh in their name, like that's just a layup. Like, that's going to happen. Let's see here. We got Terrence Holt. Lions safety. The Lions apparently on Monday Night Football going to go with like a blackout look with blue helmets this week against the Seahawks. So that'll be interesting to see.
I kind of wish the Lions would go back to that look a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like I don't like the current Lions jerseys and their the whole current setup. I kind of wish they would go back to like that era, like the Barry Sanders era, where. With that particular color scheme and
I like the Barry era look. I like the Barry era look, and I like when they wear the black jerseys, but I feel like that they were so bad during that black jersey era. Like that, just like it's like a bad association.
They just want nothing to do with it. No, I totally get it. It's like the Devils with the Christmas tree jerseys.
Yeah, like it's cool. You want to trot them out the green and red jerseys for Christmas and for St. Patty's Day because it's green, sure, but you don't need to wear them the rest of the time. We talked about tight ends a little while ago. How about Bubba Franks?
Bubba Franks, yeah, pretty good tight end in his day.
I,
Plus,
I,
just a fun name to say. Bubba Franks is a fun name.
Bubba Franks is a fun name. Now, we saw Aaron Rodgers on Thursday Night Football make heavy use of Ty Conklin. It'll be interesting to see how that develops here in the coming weeks because I have shares of him in both leagues, and I got to know if I'm starting him or not. Let's see here. Drew Bennett with the Tennessee Titans. And then Dan Morgan. You know, we'll talk about strong linebackers in the middle there. I mean, he had a short career too, but I mean, hell of a player.
Short career, but certainly a hell of a player. And now he's the general manager of the Carolina Panthers. And that'll certainly be interesting to see what they do moving forward. They realized they made a pretty big mistake with Bryce Young. And, the team looks much better under Andy Dalton. They're probably going to have to be in the quarterback business again this upcoming offseason, which means they're probably going to have to try to trade Bryce Young for like a 5th-round pick somewhere just to get him off the roster. So it's a mess. It's one of their own making. Tepper's been a horrendous owner since he's taken over, and that's been a big part of it. And hopefully he's learned enough where he can just step back and let the football people make the decisions, because I feel like they're in a pretty good spot with Canales, and I need to see more from Dan Morgan in terms of building the team, but I feel like at least they have the right coach.
It's one thing to, like we talked about before, when you have the top overall pick in the draft and you miss whatever. It's one thing to miss on that pick. It's another thing to go out and heavily purchase or acquire that pick in the package they did with the Bears and still miss. Yeah, that's not good.
And that stings even worse when the guy who went number 2 overall is significantly better than like that would have been the long-term solution if you had just taken CJ Stroud instead. But
yeah,
it's revisionist history a little bit, I guess.
Well, we will close and then you got to watch the Bears take Caleb Williams this year, and we'll see how it pans out. Now, speaking of USC quarterbacks, we're going to close with a couple of USC rookie cards here for this 2006 Topps football pack. There you go, Matt Leinart rookie card, and then Lendell White rookie card. So cool to have those two to close the pack. They're part of that USC team that was so dominant, along with Reggie Bush.
Yeah, they were stalwarts of that USC team, and I'm a little disappointed for Matt Leinart that he didn't have a better pro career than he did. It kind of is what it is. It wasn't really a great situation there in Arizona, and I don't think he necessarily helped matters. Probably a little immature for what you would like out of an NFL quarterback at the time. But I mean, he's doing a pretty good job. He's carved out a nice niche for himself in his post-playing career with the Fox College Football pregame panel. So shout out to Matt Leinart there. I have no idea what Rondell White's up to nowadays, but I mean, he certainly had a solid little career there. He certainly scored a bunch of touchdowns, because I remember him vulturing a bunch of touchdowns from Chris Johnson, and it used to irritate the hell out of me as a Chris Johnson owner. But yeah, I mean, Lendell White certainly had a productive playing career, and that's the fun of this show. We celebrate guys who have had productive playing careers, and Lendell White, I would say, is on that list as well.
Listen, definitely a touchdown vulture. His career ended with an Achilles injury in 2010 and hasn't played since. I don't know what he's up to now, but yeah, Lendell White, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart. I mean, that USC Texas game is probably the last college football game like I can remember, like watching in my friend Mike Coutinho's basement and like being really just like heavily invested in, like watching it like it's like the Jets or one of my teams.
It's one of the best college football games of our era.
Absolutely.
Without question.
All right. So there we go. We talked plenty of football today. Now we're going to do a little tennis here. Neither of us pretend to be tennis aficionados by any stretch of the imagination, but hey, a chance to rip a new kind of card. Why not? Let's do it.
This is a first on the show. We've never done tennis cards before.
I do have golf and NASCAR
dedicated
cards.
Tennis cards.
Say again?
We've never done dedicated tennis cards before, so this is a first for the show.
But then, like you said, let's talk about these name pronunciations and see how I do. We got Nicolas Jarry. Maybe he's related to Tristan Jarry from the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't know, but nonetheless, there he is. Mid-action shot there. Looking at the Topps 2024 Chrome Hobby box here. Good-looking cards. We've got Lyudmila Samsonova. I think I got that one mostly right. Emiliana Arango. which sounds like a cool name. I would take that last name, Arango. And then we've got Mackenzie McDonald. This is some sort of parallel here. It looks like clearly just won a game or a set there with the celebratory fist pump.
I feel like these are packs where we probably need to get Rich Mendes on the show, because I know he was really big into tennis a couple years ago, because I think he was just betting on tennis all the time, him being the degenerate he is. So that might be one where we need to loop like him in, or loop in like Dan Gross or Bogish or someone like that actually knows like who the hell these players are, because I've never heard of any of these people.
Now, you know how there's like a certain acceptable time where you'll call or text people, and then after a certain time you don't. If the Australian Open is going on, you can text Rich Mendes any time of night, because I guarantee you he's up. Guaranteed. We got Sloane Stevens. All right, this is one we know. We know Sloane Stevens. That's a name.
Yeah, we've heard of her.
All right, there we go. We got Lorenzo Sonego, looking like he's getting ready to run after something there. Yelena Ostapenko. It's an interesting outfit there. It looks like she looks like she's about to go be in an office after her tennis match. Like she has to try and balance both at the same time. And then we have Dalibor. Yeah, this is one I'm not going to get right. Dalibor Svracina. It's going to be my best guess on that one. Please, and if tell me how badly I'm butchering these names, or if I'm actually doing a good job. Let us know in the comments.
I can't tell you if you're butchering these names or not, because I've never heard of these players. That must be a rookie card as well. It says RC on the top. So
there we go. So Sloane Stevens, so far the hit of the day. Let's see here. We got Stefanos Tsitsipas, I think. The T is probably silent there, that first one. Let's see here. We've got Otto Vertanen. And then we got one more pack to go of these. And then I got a Heather Watson here. And then, this is a cool one. This is Alcaraz served, a Carlos Alcaraz served, I guess, series, subset, insert series. That's a cool one, though.
Yeah, that is a cool one. It's a little hologram there almost, or,
One more to go. Sometimes there's an autograph in these things. Maybe we'll get it. Oh, okay. So the last card we're going to talk about is a name I definitely know. We got Casper Ruud. It looks like that 2 U's makes me think it's a Ruud. Let's see here. Taylor Townsend. Looks like she's warming up there. We've got Ricky Hijikata, I'm going to say. And now this one's actually cool. This is I guess, the Aces series. Look at, and you'll appreciate this as a poker player. There's Andy Murray.
I like that card. That reminds me of that Kevin Gausman card that I pulled maybe a couple years ago in this show. That it was similar. It was like a playing card, and it was like part of their Aces series. So that's cool that they did that with Andy Murray there, and I'm sure he's not the only one they've done that with. I'm sure they do that with probably some of the other more well-known big-name tennis players that won a ton of majors. So that's a cool card to finish out the pack. I know I'm not beating that this week, so,
yeah, I mean, the Matt Leinart rookie is cool. There's a couple of decent cards in that tops I pulled earlier, but yeah, I mean, that's taking the cake today for sure.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't compete with that.
There it is, the rip of the day. We'll skip right to it, and there it is. So who knew it would have came from a tennis pack one week, but here we are. So there we go. Right. So that's the end of the pack ripping portion of the show today. But let's get to the figure 5 now. Let's see here. We said it's going to be football at the beginning of the show. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all you're going to get as a hint. So without further ado. Go ahead.
Oh, you didn't hear my question. Is this player a Super Bowl champion? I thought you were looking it up.
No, I didn't hear the question. And he is a one-time Super Bowl champion.
Okay. Is this player a quarterback?
He is not a quarterback.
Okay. Is this player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Okay. This is where things get interesting.
2 questions to go.
Not in the Hall of Fame, Super Bowl champion, not a quarterback. One-time Super Bowl champion. So let me think of one-time, one-off Super Bowl champions. Did this player? I'm going to get very specific now with some of these questions.
Okay.
Did this player play for the Rams?
He did not play for the Rams.
Okay.
But if the position I think you're going with, based on that question, would be right if we are on the same page there.
Well, you say that, but it could be running back or it could be receiver, so I should probably narrow it down a little bit further. Is this player a wide receiver?
No.
All right, so it's doesn't necessarily mean it's a running back, but it's almost assuredly a running back. So a one-time Super Bowl champion running back that is not in the Hall of Fame. So let's think of some of these teams.
And I'll give you a hint. He played for 3 teams, and you could remember him as a part of any of those 3 teams. Like, he had equal career with them.
Let's see.
Good guess here. If you get this, you are.
No, this would be the poll of all-time polls if I could get this one, but I am drawing a blank on this one. I am struggling a little bit. One-time Super Bowl champion, not in the Hall. The not in the Hall of Fame thing is
5-time Pro Bowler.
Oh,
probably doesn't help you at all, but
no, not really. Washington, New York, Dallas, San Francisco.
He's going around. He's trying to figure it out. He's going to have to guess soon.
I am going to have to guess soon because we're literally running out of time. I'm really drawing a blank on this one.
All right. Pick a running back.
I'm like 99% sure this is not right, but is it Jerome Bettis?
Ooh, no, and not Jerome Bettis. I understand why you would think that, but it was actually Ricky Watters. Won his Super Bowl with the Niners. You know, you can remember him as an Eagle, a Niner, or a Seahawk. He had equal careers with all of them. Brought this running back up, pictured here as an Eagle, just to, you know, Saquon Barkley could not be shoving it into the Giants' face more to open a season that he's still got it right now in Philly, and that's got to sting. You know, especially after the ownership was saying like, "Hey, are we sure we want to let this guy go?" And they're like, "No, you know, we're here to we're not paying Daniel Jones to hand the ball off." Seems to be okay for Jalen Hurts.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Let me know how that works out.
Jalen Hurts is okay handing the ball off here. I don't hear any gripes out of Mr. Hurts in Philly.
Boy.
So he will not be joining the starting lineup, studio audience. Jared's streak comes to an end. Impressive run. I wanted to throw you a tough one because you've been getting them lately. So I was like, let me give you a little.
Well, you certainly did. You certainly did that because you could have given me 10 guesses. I probably wouldn't have gotten Ricky Watters.
It's a little bit of an obscure one, but you know, next week we'll get back on the horse and hopefully things go right. Now, of course, I talked about the Oakland A's to start the show. It wouldn't be a starting lineup. We use the starting lineup, studio audience, for things like themes, and there we go. The Dave Stewart 2018 giveaway starting lineup. I was actually at that game. You got Scott Brocious from the 97 series, Reggie Jackson in the yellow A's jersey there in the 1990 Classic Doubles. Mark McGuire was the guy we unboxed last week. And then you got Jose Canseco, who is unboxed in a previous edition this season on Rip N Riff. And then, of course, Mr. Ricky Henderson himself there. They named the field after him from the 1992 set, doing what he does best and stealing a base. It's going to be sad. It's going to be, I will have that game on tomorrow. Watch, it's an afternoon game. And that's the other thing, too. Like, your last game is an afternoon game. Like, I get there's certain travel things that have to happen for the road team and all that, but, like, that's also weak sauce, too.
Yeah, I mean, the entire situation stinks. I don't really have anything else to add to it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, there we go. The end of the A's coming up here just in a couple of days. Now, don't forget, hockey season, is right around the corner there. New episode of Total Hockey Now, our last mock draft of the year tomorrow. We'll also talk NHL Awards futures bets. Jared told me he's got all of his writing done for upcoming for allaboutthejersey.com. So make sure you check out. We talked about the Devils before. That's a great site to follow the Devils season all season long, as we expect good things out of them, much to my chagrin as a Ranger fan. And Jared Moore's at Jared Moore Poker, YouTube Poker Shorts. Those are coming out multiple times a week, and Jared's baiting people into doing things they shouldn't do and getting people to curse at him.
I'm trying to. It didn't work. Closing in on 500,000 views, though.
There you go. I mean, listen, I'm not a poker player, and I still enjoy these things. They're fun to watch. Like, and you learn a little bit too. And if you learn a little bit, then that's more makes it all the more worth it.
Yep.
That'll do it for this episode of Rip N Riff. We're going to be back next week with an all-new episode, more football packs, some hockey packs. We'll figure out what's going on. But we love doing this. We love ripping packs and hanging out with us and talking about the guys that come out. Again, give us a like, review, rate, subscribe, follow on all the things scrolling across the screen there right now at Rip N Riff. For at Mr. Jared Moore, I am at Fucking Thoughts. We're back with you next week with an all-new episode of Rip N Riff here on the Rip N Riff YouTube channel.